How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So my name is Karim Omri with Comrie Engineering here in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Comrie Engineering is a firm I founded back in 2016, and I'm currently the principal engineer of the firm. In this video, as you probably read from the title, I want to talk about the biggest issue of the structural engineering profession. But before I get too deep into this video, please make sure you subscribe and like the video for the YouTube algorithm. So to begin, I was having a conversation with one of my real estate friends who just sold the building I designed. And then it all kind of dawned to me that he made almost 4 to 5% commission. I don't know the exact numbers, but he made a good commission on the sale of the building for a building I designed for, 1.5 to 2% of construction cost. So just to give you some rough numbers, the building cost $1 million to design. I made $15,000. He, from just selling it, made close to $50,000. So that's fine. Okay, he made the sale, but the interesting thing to me is that that building's going to get sold again down the road, and somebody else is going to make the commission, but I'm still liable for it. I'm still liable for the structural design of that building. And how is that fair? Well, that's the question I'd like to talk about, because I don't think we talk about that enough as a profession. I think we've definitely lost our way in terms of knowing where the bottom is and racing towards it. So wait a minute, you're telling me that real estate agents over and over again are going to keep making 4 to 5% on the building that you designed and that you're going to be liable for all these years? Well, yeah, it sure seems like it. Something like that doesn't really add up. So the building could be sold, 5-6 times over its lifetime. Each time a commission is being paid to some real estate agent for a certain amount of money, let's say $50,000 each time. So 5 times 50, that's $250,000 in commission alone. Now, I designed it for a mere $15,000. How does that make any sense? How is that fair? I'm liable till the day the building goes down, while the real estate agent sells it, takes his money, and then off to the next one. Now again, these figures are just for fun, just to kind of have easy numbers to work with. But that's really the nature of this, is how does that make any sense? And again, I'm not here to come with a million solutions, but I think that we need, as a profession, to start talking about this. I think that the race to the bottom needs to end, and I think that maybe this video might be a good way to start talking about it and getting to a solution. Oftentimes our fees are based on construction costs. So that might be a square footage allowance or determining the site conditions and that kind of thing. So really, from the beginning of the project, we need to understand what our deliverables are going to be. Something I've noticed over my career is that as engineers, we are asked more and more for more details because contractors and other people in this are trying to become less and less liable for it. So they're trying to pass all that liability onto the engineer. So something as simple as back in the day, nailing for a stud wall was determined by the contractor based on experience and building codes. Now it's a case of we get called all the time for a detail that they should have been able to look in the building code in the first place. And all those calls, while they are billable, oftentimes clients just don't pay for them. So we sometimes do end up absorbing that cost, and that's on us. We shouldn't be doing that, similar to lawyers and other professions. I think that if we're going to take on that liability and take on that responsibility, we should be compensated for it adequately. So again, there's a difference between just providing a drawing set for a certain price and then doing drawings and site admin, project management, construction management, and that kind of thing. I refer to drawings as drawings, but really it's more of a design document. And they are an instrument of service, and that's something that we have to remember at the end of the day. I think compared to lawyers, accountants, and other professionals, we don't do as good of a job in terms of determining pricing and adequate fees and timelines for our services. Oftentimes we get hired by architects, contractors, and other people whose main goal is to save the client money. And while I understand that the goal is always to serve our client, we should always be, as engineers, be cautious towards that. Because I'm starting to realize that as a business owner that oftentimes on projects, I often get clients that want me to reduce my price for the services I'll be providing. While a design project may have some flexibility, it's not usually the best way to go about it. And while I understand that they want to save money, I just don't understand why we have to be the ones suffering. And I think that's due to lack of governance on the organization side. I think we should be taking a little bit more and have a proper legislation to account a certain value to our services and time. Now, I don't think this is a cookie cutter solution, but I think it's good to get the conversation started. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube that started talking about it, and I figured I would add to that. Now, this isn't coming from a new graduate that's been out of school. This is coming from a principal of an engineering firm who's been practicing for quite some time. So I've definitely been around it on the project side as well as on the engineering side. Another issue I see often is people come to us sometimes and they'll have a set of drawings and then they'll just ask, oh, how much for a stamp? Well, that's not something that should be a common question, because I don't think that we should be doing that as a profession. While I understand that it's okay to work with drafters from other places and kind of work in that sense, I don't think that contractors and other people should be accustomed to say how much for a stamp, because really you're not buying that. That's not what the deliverable is. The stamp is a professional engineer stamp is not the deliverable, and I think that's a culture that needs to be changed, especially in our profession, because I think it's driving the cost down. Because somebody somewhere might have been doing that for that certain client for a while. And while, they might have been getting away with it, I just don't think that it's in my core values to be doing that. So at our firm, when someone says, oh, I have a set of drawings that somebody somewhere did, how much for a stamp? I just say, sorry, that's not within our wheelhouse, and we're not comfortable taking that kind of work. On our projects, I like doing the drafting internally, where I can control the kind of drafting, what's going into it, the design, and all that. The drawings are just the deliverable. The design is really the value. And while drawings are great, as a deliverable, it's not where the value of the engineer comes in. So when somebody comes to me and says, oh, how much for a stamp? Well, that doesn't make any sense, because the deliverable is actually the thought, the process that went into the design, not the piece of paper with the schedule of, beams and the foundation on it. I think, the drafter who might have put that together might have copied it from another project, didn't really fully understand the design, and now they're coming to me for a stamp and the liability. That's just not something that I could get behind, and that's something else that I have an issue with in the structural engineering profession. Again, we're a small firm, so a lot of the bigger firms might not be accustomed to that, but I think it's still important to talk about. Now, I hope this video doesn't come out as me being negative or anything. I just wanted to get the conversation started, and hopefully some people might feel or might not feel the same way. But I think if we're not talking about it as a profession, and if nobody's going to speak up and kind of get the conversation started, I don't think anything's ever going to change. So as always, if you've enjoyed this video, or you might not have, please like the video. And if you didn't like it, well, tell me why in the comments down below. As always, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.